Hello class, good day. Welcome to our first week session. So, yung session natin today, it will be light lang. It will be orientation and siguro review din ng governance. Pero 60 slides yan. So, please bear with me. So, ang gagawin ko, no, if ever in the recorded video lecture, it will be chop-chop para at least hindi naman siya overwhelming for some of you who will be playing it in some other time, no? Okay? So, welcome again to FEU. And I think all of my students here are all BS Accountancy and BS Internal Auditing students. So, I need to know your profile by the way. So, I'll be sending an email that is separate na or Google form to you all guys, no? Indicating there ano ba yung profile nyo. Are you a BSA, BSIA, and anong section nyo? And some of the profile that I might be needing para for some of the sessions that we'll be having in the coming weeks kasi meron tayong group case, no? So hatiin ko kayo, I'll be the one who will be grouping you, so I need that profile. Okay, so again, welcome to AUD or OD 1206, or also known as our Operations Auditing. So if you happen to browse already the Canvas, no, the AUD 1206 or Operations Auditing Canvas course is already published, no? Dapat makikita nyo na siya, no? As you browse, no? As you go along, no? Sa bababa, di ba? Published course na siya na eto na siya, Operations Auditing. So basically, I'll be putting some of the contents in this pages, no, or modules. For this week na expect I'll be assigning the groups already. I'll be posting some of the discussion questions, also slides, no, pertaining to our discussion, no, laging ganon. Okay? And if you happen to already browse the Canvas course module pertaining to this course, doon sa pages, no, I've already published about myself and the syllabus about operations auditing. Before anything else, no, I'll be of course introducing myself. So sino ba yung magtuturo ng ops audit nyo, no? For the BS Accountancy, ito lang yung subject nyo na mayroon kayong klase, right? Kasi if I remember it right, you have 4 subjects including AUD 1206. Also included there is I think internship. So most of the time, no, magiging busy kayo dito. Also, you have your accountancy research, no, in there. Wala kayong class, but there are some consultation for this subject, no, yung accountancy research, no. And the last one is, I think, WRP. So, kayang-kaya nyo actually itong subject na to, no. Medyo kakaiba lang siya kasi may pagka-IA or internal auditing yung kanyang concepts, no. So for the BSIA students, so wala nang magiging problem I think sa inyong subject to kasi for the last 2 years you are very familiar with the internal auditing concepts that is based from ISPPIA, or also known as your International Standards for Professional Practice of Internal Auditing, right? So doon naman lahat ng gagaling yung standards. So yung some of the concepts here in the subject would definitely be coming from that standard. And of course, we have reference for this subject also two, no, mamaya ipapakita ko sa inyo. So I'll be introducing first myself. So sino ba ako? Okay, so some of you already know me, no. By the way, my name is Mark Ivan Leo Diriga Frente, and I'm a certified internal auditor, CIA. I'm also a CRMA, or Certification in Risk Management Assurance. So I have that kind of certification pertaining to risk management. I'm also a CISA, or also known as a Certified Information Systems Auditor. So I'm familiar with IT audit. Definitely, ngayon hindi pa ako magtuturo ng auditing in CS environment. Pero in the next sem, I think pwede na ako magturo nito kasi maraming sections for that subject, no. I mean class, so pwede ako magturo. And I'm also a certified public accountant, no. Definitely required yan, no, before ako magturo ng mga concepts relating to accounting, no, and some of the accounting standards or auditing standards. Okay, so I'm also a ACCA DIP, no, certificate holder, no, meaning I'm a association of, tama ba, chartered certified, or pinagbaliktad lang yung dalawang yun, certified chartered accountant, that is based on UK, and I'm also a graduate of MBA degree. So ganyan kahaba yung aking ano ba tawag doon, post initials, no, sa after my name. Okay, so what are the subjects na na-handle ko before. So before, I've handled already fundamentals of accounting. So basically, it's the old, ito yun, financial accounting and reporting. Okay. So and then I also already taught intermediate accounting, particularly parts 1 and 2. Okay. I've also previously, ito yung summer sem, nagturo ako ng accounting information system. Okay. So may mga concepts dito na makukuha tayo, particularly on those cycles like revenue, expenditure cycles, conversion cycle, and financial reporting system, and the GL system, that is very important also. Pag as we go along dun, I think parang finals pa siya, no? Definitely kailangan natin siyang balikan. Then we also have cost accounting and control. So I also taught this subject already, no? Siguro yung iba sa inyo naging student ko na dito. I also taught management accounting, or in your curriculum it's also strategic cost management for I think matagal ka nang tinuturo nito parang less than 2 years na rin kahit papaano. So familiar na ako with cost and management accounting. Related naman silang dalawa. Then I also taught financial management, no, for one sem, no. I think yung batch nyo yung naturuan ko ng financial management, I think 3 sections yon. And I also taught internal auditing. Ito palagi kong tinuturo to, parang 4 times ko nang tinuro. Kaya medyo kabisado ko na yung pasikot-sikot sa ISPPIA, or also the IPPF, or the International Professional Practices Framework, or IPPF, no. And then ito yung unang-una kong turo in FEU, the auditing problem. So in your curriculum, no, for the BSA, it's your I think ACT 1204 or ACT 1205. So yun. Okay. And ito nga, naturo ko na rin to in review school, no, yung auditing in computerized environment, or also known as your ODSIS. Yung SIS is also Computer Information System. So yan na yung mga subjects na na-handle ko, no. And as to my educational background, I already earned, hindi pa. Advance mag-isip. So, ako ay currently taking up my DBA, or Doctor of Business Administration, from Polytechnic University of the Philippines, from the College of Business Administration Graduate School, no, sa Manila to. New student ako sa kanila, but to tell you also, I took my doctoral degree or PhD degree also from University of the Philippines, Diliman, or UPD, for 1 year, no, wherein I earned 18 units, no. I transferred to PUP for practical or pragmatic reasons, kasi mas align yung content ng syllabus ng or ng curriculum ng DBA sa aking area of expertise, no. Sa UP, okay naman talaga yung PhD nila, pero there's a disconnect, no. Baka mamaya kasi ang PhD sa UP, to tell you, maganda siya, pero for me, if you are in the future will be teaching economics, or gusto maging research or econometrician, okay siya. Lumipat ako sa PUP for, sabi ko nga, practical reasons, mas applicable sa kung ano ang skillset na meron ako ngayon. And definitely, sana, no, kung matapos ko yung research concepts na matutunan ko from PUP, I'll be also teaching it to you, no, or some of your future hindi naman batchmates, pero yung mga di ba kayo yung ahead, no, kayo yung first batch of K to 12. So yung mga sumunod, sila na siguro yung matuturuan ko ng mga research, no. So yun, kung sakasakaling ibigay yung sa aking subject, yung accountancy research. Then before that, no, I already took up my MBA, or Master of Business Administration, from De La Salle University, Manila. No, I graduated last December 2016. And then my undergrad, of course, no, it's the BSA, or the Bachelor of Science in Accountancy. I took it, or earned it, from PUP, College of Accountancy, also in Manila, last May 2010. So talagang mahal na mahal ko ang PUP. Pero don't get me wrong, mahal na mahal ko rin ng FEU students, no. So I've been teaching in FEU for almost not almost, talagang 4 years na, going 5 years na. So talagang napamahal na ako sa mga FEU students. So sinasabi ko lang, parang bumabalik ako sa PUP kasi eventually yung DBA ko sa PUP ako. Okay? So, some of you already know me and know my background. Pero for some of you, I think majority of my students, sa 40K lahat hindi pa ako kilala, and hindi pa masyadong alam ko ano yung experience ko. So I hope in this course, no, you'll be having a fun online session as much as possible, no. Gagawin ko lang sana na i-maximize ko lang ng 1.5 hour yung ating online session para hindi naman siya too daunting sa inyo, no. If ever, no, pwede ko nang i-upload yung video, pwede nyo nang i-play in your most convenient time yung video, no. Yung 1.5 hour, no, it will be allotted for some of the topics na need kong i-discuss, no. And I think if there are any clarifications, at least we can address it during those sessions, no. And yun lang naman, no. And to tell you, no, what is my professional working experience, no. So to vouch, no, kung ano, I mean to vouch my experience para masabi na ano na pwede ko talaga ituro tong subject to kasi I've also gained experience, no. I started my career as an external auditor or the public practice at Punong Bayan in Araldo, PNA CPAs, no, a member firm within Grant Thornton International Limited for 2 years. So in here, I gained sufficient experience in the performance of financial audits of companies in a wide range of industries, including manufacturing, trade, non-stock, non-profit organization, leisure, and other service and industry. So dito ako nakuha sa PNA yung audit skills. So basically, no, hindi naman syempre masasabi ko na during or after passing the boards, no, I'm very confident with my skill sets, no, na doon ko natutunan sa PNA. To tell you, I'm a graduate of PUP and alam naman natin medyo scarce yung resources doon. Well, di nga ako marunong mag-Excel. Of course, nung trabaho lang sa PNA, doon ko natutunan yung Excel, kung paano yung proper way of doing the audit, yung risk-based audit, yung mga tipong ganun. Okay? Sa inyo, no, I'm very, very, well, masasabi ko sa inyo na I'm very glad that you have that kind of curriculum and you have a good roster of faculty who are practitioners in the industry. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga nagtuturo na sa inyo, lalo na, no, na pagdaanan yung third year, no, lalo na yung fourth year, yung mga nagtuturo, mga practitioners. So, good na magtuturo sa inyo ay reliable, meaning yung mga tinuturo sa inyong principles and theories, no, i-vouch nila sa inyo and pwede nila ma-explain sa inyo na maintindihan nyo. Okay, so swerte nyo guys, promise, may mga faculty kayo na talagang magaling, na nagtuturo talaga sa inyo para at least graduate kayo ngayon, sana, no, by the time na okay na next year, pwede na kayo mag-board exam, and after that, no, kung hindi man, you have that kind of skills, no, or you have that kind of knowledge na baon-baon nyo pag nag-work na kayo. So, sinasabi ko lang swerte nyo kasi in this subject also, no, you'll be learning a lot of concepts about how to do operations audit, no. Hindi naman nagkakalayo syempre yung engagements ng nature of engagements pag pino-perform natin yung operations auditing, FS audit, no, yung mga tipong ganun, no. It will really depend ano yung audit procedures lang nagagawin, no, and what assertions would be addressed by what do you call this, performing these audit procedures. Okay? So, swerteng-swerte nyo na. Mga nagtuturo sa inyo, practitioner. Unlike nung time namin sa PUP, purely academician. So, ngayon sa PUP I'm friends with PUP, no? Mga nagtuturo, practitioners na ngayon. So, swerte na rin ng mga students din doon. Pero sa inyo, mas swerte kayo. Yun yung masasabi ko. Okay? So, after my PNA stint, no, I worked in SM Savings and Loan Association Incorporated, no, under the SM umbrella, no. It's a non-stock financial institution wherein I worked there as their internal audit and compliance manager for another 2 years, wherein in here I gained experience in internal control testing and execution of compliance program in compliance with the rules and regulations of Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or the Philippine Monetary Board. So, yun. Usually dito, no, dito ako talaga na-expose sa internal audit work. Kasi yung work ko with PNA, it's an external audit work. Dito, internal audit work. So, ano ba yung mga ginawa kong engagement? So, dito ako gumawa ng business process review, no, BPR, no, and some of the test of controls, no. So, dito ko natutunan lahat. And medyo naiba ako ng industry kasi coming from non-banking or non-banking work, napunta ako sa banking or financial institution work. So ibang-iba talaga pagdating sa banking or financial institution, no? And through that experience that I gained from SM, no? Uh, um, I ano ba, bit ko 'yon nung ako ay nag-work na rin sa Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation, or also known as HSBC. It's a multinational bank based in UK, no? Not really in Hong Kong. It's a UK bank, no? The Philippine branch, wherein I worked there for 1 year and 4 months, wherein I further broaden my experience with bank and financial institution, no? With the guidance from different regulations, wherein kasi yung HSBC, marami kasi siyang tawag dito, banks all over the world. So, of course, through that, maraming mga regulations. So, the bank is being scrutinized by different regulators, including Hong Kong Monetary Authority, or HKMA. It's the monetary board in the Hong Kong. Then we also have here the Financial Services Authority, or FSA, of the United Kingdom. And of course, with the US, it's the Office of the Foreign Assets Controller, the OFAC. Okay? So, marami akong natutunan with HSBC. Kahit sabihin mong 1 year and 4 months yun, no? Lagi kami may engagement, palagi kami may meetings. So, marami kami mga stakeholders. We have some findings on some of concerns relating to compliance, mga tipong ganun. It's a good experience. And, actually, staying naman ako sa HSBC. Pero, may tumawag sa akin, may nag-refer sa akin, tinawagan naman ako ng Standard Chartered Bank, or the SCB. So there, in SCB, I work as their financial crime intelligence and investigations analyst, performing some transaction monitoring and name screening investigation of bank clients, and conducting compliance risk assessment, specifically on anti-money laundering, or AML, and CTF, or the counter-terrorist financing, and sanctions concerns on the bank's products, segments, and control. So aside from monitoring the transactions, no, if there are any red flags, or some not really suspicious, but parang medyo needs attention, no, kasi siguro may kakaibang transaction, no, through some criteria, no, i-investigate namin yun, no. Aside from that, we also do risk assessment. So titingnan namin kung yung mga products ng bangko ay medyo mataas ang risk in terms of AML, CTF, and sanctions pagdating sa kanilang products. Of course, with some of the segments that they have, kasi maraming lines of business pagdating sa bangko, no. Meron tayong commercial, meron tayong tawag dito private banking, meron tayong tawag dito yung individual, yung mga tipong ganun, and some of the controls. Okay? So currently, no, after my almost 8 years stay with the corporate world, or 7 years I guess, no, doon ako nag-decide na lumipat sa academe. So there's a transition period for, I think, 5 months. Then, nag-part-time muna kasi ako. Then, nag-offer ng full-time sa FEU. Then, I grabbed that opportunity. Kasi, after my 1 sem stay with FEU, nag-enjoy ako sa turo. No? Of course, nung lumipat na ako sa FEU, medyo nagkaroon ng struggle financially. Pero, sabi nga nila, CPA ka naman, bakit lumipat ka sa academy? Sabi ko, iba pa rin kapag may self-satisfaction. So, sana yung iba sa inyo, no, kung magtatapos next year, no, sana yung iba sa inyo, no, kung yung gusto magturo, mag full-time sa amin. So, iniengganyo ko. It's really fulfilling. Iba pa rin yung self-satisfaction over the financial rewards. I've been there, no? Of course, with the position that I had in the past, no? Naging manager, naging senior manager, okay na sa akin yun. Minsan wala na nga sa akin yung position. Yung pera, dumarating, siguro, don't get me wrong ha, I'm currently the breadwinner also of the family. So, I see to it na kakayanin ko rin talagang i-support yung family ko. Sa FEU nagawa ko ng paraan, I do some consultation, so consultancy job, so hinaya naman, no? So yung sa inyo, kung gusto niyo ang passion niyo kung magturo, welcome kayo kay FEU. Sabihan niyo lang ako kung gusto niyo magturo. Okay? So sana may magturo sa inyo. Give back to your future future school. Future ang tawag doon, may term kasi magiging future alumni kayo di ba? So yun, give back to FEU. Okay, so if you have any questions, no, or concerns, you may reach me by sending a message through Canvas or my email mricafrente@feu.edu.ph. But remember guys, no, ang problem ko with Canvas or may receiving email receiving message from to my email, it will take time, no, siguro 1 to 3 days or turnaround time bago ko ma-replyan. Mahirap sa Canvas kasi hindi ko talaga binubuksan yung inbox. Usually it takes pinakamatagal na 1 week. As much as possible, kung gusto niyo agad na clarification or ma-address yung concern nyo, I highly, again, ito, tinake note ko naman, I highly prefer receiving PMs through Teams so I can quickly respond your queries. Naintindihan? So, as much as possible, maganda kung ako ay inyong ipi-PM sa Teams. Okay? So, that's all about me. So, I think mamaya, no, open naman yung floor for any question if may question kayo about me. Okay? So, the next thing that I need to discuss is, of course, to have an orientation about the course. So, I'll be presenting now the syllabus for AUD 1206. Actually, naka-publish na rin to sa Canvas course nyo. Okay? So, here's the mission vision of FEU and the Institute and the Department of Accountancy. So, kabisado na yan, di ba? So, di na natin kailangang daanan. So, I'll be discussing the course, no? So, for this course, our course title is actually Operations Auditing. No, and our course code for this is AUD 1206 or OD 1206. And in your curriculum, it has a 3-unit credit, and its prerequisite is actually Act 1108 or your financial management. So the course description, this course covers the key concepts in relation to the conduct of auditing business processes. So sabi ko nga kanina, no, sa accounting information system, you are familiar sana in your cycles, no, or transaction cycles, no, kung naalala nyo pa. I think natakal niyo siya nung first year kayo, no, yung summer nun. Sana balikan niyo yun kasi importante yun kapag we tackle now audit of business processes, no. So of course, no, the subject, it starts with the review of the principles of corporate governance, which we later on will cover, and the Institute of Internal Auditors Code of Professional Ethics, which are already covered by your subject Act 1110 or the Governance, Business Ethics, Risk Management, and Internal Control course. In here, it also includes the discussion of the overview of operations auditing. Definitely, dapat kasama yun. Okay? Kung ano yung definition of operations auditing. Phases and other concepts of operations auditing. Internal controls, risk management, internal audit reporting tools, and documentation. Auditing of business processes, and overview of project management. So, for your PELO, no, your program expected learning outcome, no, I think this has already been discussed or was already discussed to you by your previous professors, no. It's actually 1 to 15, no. It's the expected learning outcome from the course BS Accountancy and Internal Auditing. Parehas lang naman yung learning outcomes of both the programs, no. Inisa-isa ko na yung dapat after you graduate, ano expected na ma-learn nyo after you took this course. Or after you take this course rather. Okay? So, hindi ko na i-discuss yan. Ang importante, I need to discuss here now the SELO. No? Sige, i-ano ko lang, no? Zoom ko lang, no? Naku, medyo malaki. Okay, sige. Now, for the SELO, no, or the course expected learning outcome, so this SELO is particular to the course itself. So, dito, it's the AUD 1206. So, upon completion of the course, no, the students are expected to, number 1, no, build an understanding on the role of the internal audit or the operations audit in an organization. Now, I think with the BSIA students, you are familiar with the role of the internal audit. Now, with the BS Accountancy, I think there's a discussion in your auditing principles, no? Doon lang natin marirelate na under assurance or consultancy, there is an internal audit work, no? Internal audit can perform both the assurance and the consultancy engagements, okay? So, we'll be later on expanding the role of the internal audit. Okay. Number 2, you are also expected to build an understanding of the organization. Build an understanding of the objectives of internal control and how it contributes to the operational, strategic, and financial competitiveness of an organization. So remember in your auditing principle, actually related din sa auditing principle din tong subject na to, no. Kaya nga mamaya may review tayo nito, no. Kasi of course, with the advent of Enron issue, may naghigpit ang US in terms of their disclosures in the financial statement, particularly pinahigpit na dapat ang external auditor would also look on the controls of the company if relating only to financial reporting, ha, kung if it is effective, no, kasi kung hindi siya dim effective, then probably there's a problem pagdating sa financial statement. So there should be a what you call this, 'di ba, pag mababa ang ating mataas yung control risk, yung detection risk natin dapat babaan natin. So anong gagawin? Dadamihan natin yung substantive test, 'di ba? So ganun siya, if you can recall your auditing principle. So ganun siya. So you see the importance of internal control kasi yun yung parang what you call this, siya yung talagang magdadala kung gaano kaganda yung it will really benefit the company in terms of paano matutulungan yung company in terms of its operation, its strategic and financial competitiveness, no? Kasi let's say for example for operations, no, lalo na kung tayo ay in the automotive industry, kung walang controls, isang pagkakamali mo lang, no, particular in the TQM, if you can recall, no, magkakaroon ng problem in terms of manufacturing the car, right? In the strategic, no, there should be control. Paano kung nagre-report tayo ng performance, no, na walang proper review or quality control, so or internal control, reliable pa ba yung ating information na nire-report sa ating board of directors? Now for the financial competitiveness, no, as much as possible, no, we want to earn a profit, but the profit should be really a reliable profit na wherein if yung report natin, that will be the basis of the decision maker in terms of making a decision, no? So dapat yung mga pinapresent nating information may control over that, kasi kung hindi, then probably there is a misrepresentation, no? Of course, we don't want our stakeholders to make a decision on those unreliable information. So there should be an internal control. So you see the importance of internal control. So medyo nag-discuss na ako ng konti. Of course, with number 3, the students are also expected to be familiarized with how the internal audit or the operational audit engagement is planned, organized, executed, and concluded. So in other words, this is the audit engagement itself. No, definitely will not be doing some audit engagement, but through the case studies that you'll be having, no, at least, no, particular sa audit engagement, magiging familiar kayo kung ano yung mga scenario na pwede nyong makaharap in the future. So in here, don't expect lang na may output tayo na may audit report, no. I think with the BSIA students, cover to ng ibang subject. Now, for the BSA, I think na-cover naman to ng Act 1204 and Act 1205, yung inyong applications and control na auditing, no? Dapat you are familiar on what audit report looks like, no? So, in the context of operations audit, hindi naman siya nalalayo. Parehas lang naman din yung parang nature niya of doing engagement. Okay? So, pero in terms of operations audit, we're looking on the risk, on the control. So, most likely, we are more procedural. Tinitingnan natin kung okay ba yung process, okay ba yung mga procedures, mga tipong ganun, no? Of course, with operations audit, no, medyo may konting financial. Pero dito sa ating subject, no, don't expect na siya ay quantitative heavy or number heavy. It's purely theoretical, no? Ang gusto lang natin dito, no, baon-baon yung theory or yung knowledge na alam nyo pagdating nyo na sa actual work. If you're taking your internship, then good, no? Maganda na may alam kayo on how some of the reporting tools or audit tools will be helpful to you, no, if you are in the audit firm or doing an audit work, no? If not, no, in the future, next year, malamang, di ba, magtatrabaho na kayo, at least dala-dala nyo itong mga matututunan nyo in this subject, no? And number 4, no, hindi pa end, number 4, you're expected to map common business processes and recommend process improvement. So dito, as much as possible, no, sana magawa natin, no, mag-document kayo or mag-create kayo ng system flow chart, no, yung sinasabi natin sa number 4. If not really to create, be familiar or be familiar, no, with how you read system flow chart, no, kasi definitely kung gagawa kayo ng audit procedures, you need to document first ano yung business processes and how do you represent business process that would be understandable by your audit manager or supervisor, kasi sila magre-review ng work mo. Para maintindihan nila yung work mo, there should be a documentation of what the business process that you did, no, na may audit, no. And how do we do that? Through the system flowchart or program flowchart, if in case specific yung ating process. Okay? So, dapat familiar kayo kung paano magbasa ng system flowchart. I think na-cover ito ng accounting information system. Okay? Number 5, document the internal audit procedures performed, conclusion or result. So, ito documentation din. Pero as with regard to ano naman na yung ano ba yung mga audit procedures na pinorform mo, so you need to document it. When you say document, no, we need to write it. Or in other words, kung may Excel kayo or may Word, no, tinatype nyo yung mga ginawa nyo internal audit procedures and ano yung conclusion na na-reach nyo and what is the result. Okay? Na-achieve ba natin yung audit objective? Yung mga tipong ganon. Okay? Okay, number 6, demonstrate an entry-level knowledge and soft skills expected from junior internal audit staff in an organization. So in here, as students of operations audit, at least you'll be learning some of the knowledge that will be helpful to you when you do when you enter the corporate world, specifically if you'll be joining in an organization wherein you are a internal audit staff or pwede ring external audit staff. Of course, soft skills, ito yung mga not really hard skills, no. Soft skill, when you say soft skill, it is more of how the communication skills, how do you present to your stakeholders, your findings, yung mga tipo ganun, and what should be the principles or the values that are expected from an auditor, no. And we have that code of ethics, no. And number 7, to ponder upon and decide on ethical issues uncovered during the audit. Now, aside from doing audit, no, of course, you'll not be really just doing audit work, present the findings. So you should also consider ethical issues on that matter kung may finding ka. Kung nakita nating meron tayong mga, kunwari, when you do FS audit, no, merong, I mean, the subsidiary ledger is not tied up with the general ledger, then there is a gap, no. So and when you do some investigation, napagalaman na parang there is a theft, so in that case there is an ethical issue. So dapat meron kang finding and recommendation on how the company can resolve that ethical issue, no. As much as possible, we don't want the people to be pinpointed. As much as possible, proseso. Okay, remember, we shall remove the stigma na ang auditor ay taga-sita, taga-sumbong, kasi nga ang dapat pag-initan natin is the process itself, not the people. Kasi through that, if we are addressing the process, we are addressing the root cause of the problem, no. If we are blaming the people, we are not really addressing the root cause of the problem. Okay, sige. Now, in this table, no, we have here the PELO na nakamap kay SELO. Of course, with the PELO, no, ano ba yung as a graduate of BS Accountancy and IA degree, no, ano yung connect na with the SELO? So, nakamap siya dyan. With SELO 1, no, SELO 2, ayan, inisa-isa yung mga PELO. Okay? And through the SELOs, no, sa next page natin, no, dito, yung learning outcomes natin, particularly on this course, nisa-isa din natin or minap din natin sa mga topics within within this course, the operations auditing. Okay? Now, for the week 1, no, we'll be discussing the overview of the course. So, ito yung ginagawa natin ngayon. So, what is the expectations, no, or the expectation setting, the class rules and introduction. So, mamaya di-discuss ko some of the class rules. So, actually, parang wala nga masyado. Pero later, no. First discussion, no, after this, no, we'll be having the review of governance and auditing concepts, including code of professional ethics from ISPPIE, or the International Standards for the Professional Practice of Internal Auditing. Okay, so in here we need to build the concept of governance kasi dun talaga natin na mafo-focus yung importance ni internal audits. Later on, malalaman nyo ang internal audit is it's also one of the pillars of corporate governance. Okay? So, later on, we'll be discussing the definition also of the corporate governance. So, next, we'll be discussing also the corporate governance in the Philippine setting. So, in here, we'll be referring to SEC Memorandum Circular later na may discussion tayo kung ano yung mga salient points on this memorandum, particularly on corporate governance, kung gaano ka-importante si internal audit. Okay? And what is the role of the, BOD or the Board of Directors in an organization, and the Board of Directors' role in internal controls and risk management. And of course, we need to tackle here again, no? Sabi nga natin kanina, we need to ponder some of the ethical issues upon the performance of the audit, no? Dapat we are familiar with the Code of Professional Ethics for Internal Auditors. So, di-discuss din natin yan. Okay? So, wala na magiging problema to, I guess, kay BSIA students kasi they are familiar with this one. Right? With the BSA, ngayon lang nila ma-encounter to. So, good luck sa BSA. De, joke lang. Kaya ito ng mga best accountancy rin. Okay? So, for the week 2, we'll be discussing the operational auditing concepts. In here, we need to define what is operations audit. Okay? And then, in here, we also need to discuss the risk-based audit model. Okay, so I think you've heard this risk-based audit model. So, we don't just do audit gusto lang nating i-audit to. Tuturo lang tayo kung ano yung audit, hindi ganun. Sa ngayon, if you want to do or if you want to have an efficient audit or efficient hindi inefficient audit, efficient audit, ito yung marirecommend. We do risk-based audit model. Meaning, we audit for those areas that are regarded as high risk. No, we don't of course we do audit on those low risk pero ang frequency niya mababa. Pwedeng once in every 3 years or 5 years. Pero for those who are high risk, as much as possible, mataas yung frequency. Pwedeng monthly, pwedeng quarterly. It will actually depend on the risk assessment of the auditor. Okay? In here, we also need to learn about the skills and qualities required for effective operational audit. So, ano yung masasabi natin na ang ating operational audit is of quality and effective siya. So, i-discuss din natin yun. No, we also have here that we need to differentiate the financial statement audit versus operational auditing. Common si operational auditing pagdating kay internal auditing. With financial statement audit, pwede rin gawin to ni internal audit pero they regard the FS audit doon particularly sa control. So tinitingnan nila na yung mga controls in connection with the financial reporting. Yun yung titignan nila actually. And of course, there are some quantitative assessment or review for this one. No? Pero ang heavy talaga sa paggamit ng financial statement audit or FS audit is the external auditors. Of course, we need to know also what are the challenges of operations audit. So, may mga limitations siya. So, later on, we'll be discussing also this one. No? For weeks 3 to 4, we'll be discussing the objectives and phases of operational auditing. Okay? So, in here, we need to discuss the key objectives of the operational auditing or operations auditing. Sorry. And then, next, the professional skepticism. Alam nyo na yung professional skepticism. No? Hindi ka naman dapat magmukhang kaduda-duda. You need to ask the right questions when you do audit. Okay? Of course, pag sinabi sa'yo, hindi ka agad maniniwala. Anong sample natin dito? Alam mo kung ano yung fake news at alam mo yung reliable source of news, di ba? So, yun yung isang example natin ng professional skepticism. You are being very skeptic sa pinapresent sa'yo. Hindi porket binigay sa'yo or binalandra sa'yo, maniniwala ka na agad. Okay? As auditors, we need to be skeptical. No? Wag naman natin pakita nga nagdududa tayo. Okay? And also reasonable assurance. So remember the discussion of your assurance, we have two types. So we have absolute and reasonable, and we also have limited assurance, no? So yun. So dito reasonable assurance ang operations auditing. Okay? Just like with FS audit. Okay? We also need to discuss here ito yung audit engagement na, no? The planning, no? Ano yung mga need to consider when you prepare or you do planning for the audit. And after you plan, you now do the audit procedure. So, ito yung field work. Ito yung pag may branch yung company, pupunta ka doon, or kung nasa audit firm ka, pupunta ka sa client. Yun yung fieldwork. Okay? And then we also have here the types of audit evidence. So, i-discuss din natin yan. Okay? We also have here the reporting, no? And sa reporting, may mga qualities in terms of also knowing ano yung of quality na report. Okay? And how do we do reporting to our stakeholders. Next, of course, if we have unaddressed issues in reporting the findings, no, first there should be a monitoring through follow-up. Okay? We also have here the 7 E's of operations audit. Okay? And lastly, for this week, for this session, it will be the internal audit engagement simulation. Okay? Then after this session, no, you'll be having your first quiz or your quiz number 1. So sa quiz, pinag-usapan pa namin ni Sir Mark if it will be a departmental quiz. So most likely departmental quiz, pero kailangan lang namin iset. And you'll be also be preparing here case study. So may mga case studies tayo dito, no? Dito it will be a group, no? And I'll be assigning groups to you, no? Siguro within this week i-ano ko 'yon, tawag dito, i-announce ko. Pero kasi ang problem, ongoing kasi yung ating enrollment. So most likely yung group natin baka maximum next week kapag natapos na enrollment. Kasi baka gumagalaw pa. Baka may mga students na ayaw sa akin na nililipat sa iba, kay Sir Mark, no? Okay lang yun, no hard feelings. Si Sir Mark okay din yun, no goods. We're friends. Sir Mark Perlas, we're friends, no? Nag-usap talaga kami kung ano yung magiging galaw namin dito sa subject na to. Okay? So, dito sa case study, don't worry, there will be no freeloaders, no? Kasi, may control na doon. Remember, we are auditors. We have individual assessment. So, yung mga ka-group mates nyo, i-assess nyo rin, no? There's also a group assessment. So, i-assess kayo ni group. Sa individual, at least malalaman natin kung sino yung freeloader. So, iwasan natin yan. Kasi yung mga reklamo in the previous online semester na meron tayo, iniiwasan na natin yon. Okay? For weeks 5 to 6, we'll be discussing here the internal control and risk management. In this session, we'll be discussing the COSO internal control framework. So, ito yung may 5. Remember here the control environment, ano pa ba? Control activities, information, yan, yung mga tipong ganun, no? Risk assessment. So meron tayong mga ganung kailangang i-discuss, no? Of course, we need to identify the risk, no? And of course, measure the risk. In the identification of risk, we need to classify also this kung siya ay reputational risk, legal risk, operational risk, yung mga tipong legal risk, marami pa yan. Okay? Now, as to the measurement of risk will be knowing ano yung risk score. So, we need to know what is the frequency and its impact. And through that, ito lang naman actually yung math dito sa subject na to. No, madali lang siya kasi in terms of frequency, we assign 1 to 5. Or it will depend. Pwedeng RAG rating, red, amber, green. Okay, when you say red, it's high risk. Amber, medium. Kapag green, it's low risk. Ngayon, pagdating sa quantitative, pwedeng number, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. No? And we'll be assigning also numbers to its impact. 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. So, i-multiply lang natin yun yung risk score. And through that, no, we need to evaluate ano yung mga areas yung may higher risk. Kasi yun yung gagawa natin ng assessment or kung meron ba tayong risk response over that, no? Of course, after we measure the risk, we need to develop a risk portfolio. We need to know what are the kind of risk and its risk scores. And in here also, we need to understand the risk matrix. So, makikita nyo yung risk matrix. So, as auditors, we should be familiar with the risk portfolio and the risk matrix. Kasi, kahit external audit, no, may risk matrix na rin. Sa internal audit, gamit na gamit ang risk matrix. So, alam natin kung ano yung mga engagement na dapat gawa na natin ang audit procedures agad-agad kasi high risk siya. Kung low siya, pwedeng within 3 years, pwede mo siyang assign anytime, no? We need also to perform audit over those low risk areas, okay? Of course, with the risk response, marami yan, no? Pwedeng risk acceptance, risk reduction, risk sharing, no, yung mga tipong ganun. Okay? Marami pa yon. And in this, no, we'll be having your case study number 2. okay, pertaining to these topics. Then in your weeks 7 to 8, we'll be having your operations audit reporting tool. So dito i-discuss natin histograms, okay, yung ating control charts, okay, Pareto charts, cause and effect diagram, no, and your force field analysis and flow chart. So, ito yung mga importanteng reporting tools na dapat meron tayo to simplify the representation of our findings or information that we want to reach to our stakeholders. No? Kasi kung gagamit tayo ng mga tools ito, mas madaling maintindihan nila yung results ng ginawa natin. Okay? And also, audit reporting tool would include 5S, yung Seiton, Seiri, Seiso, Seiketsu, Shitsuke. Okay, so may English portion, may English counterpart, i-discuss din natin. Of course, check sheet. So yung check sheets important rin yan kasi when we do audit, minsan ang daming ginagawa, through the use of check sheets, laking tulong ito kasi masasabi mo na lahat ng concerns or areas na check mo na. So parang checklist lang siya. Kung may hindi ka pa na-cover, then maaring na mismo yung portion na yon, doon may kita kung ano yung kulang pa sa dapat mong gawin. Kasi if you perform an audit na hindi kompleto, the audit is not effective at all. Okay? Then, we also need to discuss here the audit documentation. So, in audit documentation, in here, we need to write here the finding and in here, how to make our recommendation persuasive. No, we can also use quantitative methods to improve the quality. No, baka kasi mamaya pura lang tayo sulat, findings, pero kung we can present it in quantitative na madaling mare-representing information na maintindihan or comprehensible sa ating stakeholder, then good. And through quantitative measures, no, we can know what its impact, no, to the company. Pwedeng in terms of penalty, the financial loss, yung mga tipong ganon. And also we need to discuss here in developing the useful, pragmatic, and effective recommendations for corrective act. Of course, when we do a audit, may mga findings tayo, kailangan as much as possible we provide recommendations to our stakeholders. And yung recommendations hindi lang yung parang may masabi lang tayo. It should be useful. Meaning to say that the recommendation is useful as a corrective action that can be taken on that finding. As much as possible, dapat ma-address nga rin niya yung root cause. No, hindi lang siya yung parang lalagyan mo lang ng bandage pero eventually in the future magkaka-problem ulit. It should also be pragmatic. When you say pragmatic, it's being practical. When you say practical, it should be cost-effective. Ibig sabihin dapat sabihin natin, no, may recommendation. Sobrang ganda ng recommendation, pero sobrang mahal naman or expensive, then it's useless, no? As much as possible, practical siya na useful siya. Kasi nga, cost-effective din siya. Okay, kita niyo yung connect. Okay? And also, the recommendation should be effective. No? Maring practical nga, maring useful, pero effective naman kaya. No? Kasi maaring maganda yung recommendation naman talaga, okay yung gastos, pero is it really ang tawag dito yung ano yung ano yung tawag dito may term doon yung in reality talaga bang feasible siya, yung mga tipong ganun. Okay, so after this week we'll be having our quiz number 2, no, your second quiz, no, and your case study number 3. And in your week 9, we'll be having your midterm departmental examination. And of course, with week 10, pahingin nyo to. We will be having the midterm grade consultation. Then after the week 10, eto yung sinasabi ko, we'll be having the auditing business processes. So, hinati natin sa 3, no? And some of it, sabi ko nga sa inyo, na-discuss na natin sa accounting information system. With the part 1 of this topic, no, we'll be having the record to report, including taxation. So, in your accounting information system, it's your general ledger and financial reporting system. Okay, your order to cash, including pricing, it's your expenditure cycle, particularly on ordering raw materials, converting it into finished goods, and selling it to your customer, and pwedeng on account, then how it will be collected. So ito yon. Now for the procure to pay, no, ito yung procure to pay, ito yung bumili tayo ng materials, okay, and then paano natin babayaran, so including the treasury. Okay, in your part 2, no, ito yung mga ibang topics din sa accounting information system. So first is the plan to inventory or production, including fixed asset system. So in here, ito yung may EOQ tayo, remember, and then how do we now well, particularly ano to, conversion cycle to, no. First we need to identify what is the demand for that for that product, and from that product, no, mag-order tayo ng mga raw materials and paano yung process niya, no. It's the conversion cycle, right, including also the fixed asset, so from its acquisition up to its retirement. Okay, also included ito rin, acquire to retire, no. Pwedeng through investment and financing. So hindi lang sa ano to sa tawag dito sa fixed asset system, no. We also have here yung payroll system, yung hire to retire, including the payroll. Okay, so yung parts 1 and 2 na-cover na to sa accounting information system. So review ulit. Okay, and next will be the auditing, part 3, including the contracts and contracting function. Then we also have here foundation and corporate social responsibility function. So kung ikaw ay nasa sustainability function or CSR, how do we do audit for this kind of function? Also in terms of socio-economic, so mga foundation, so how do we do audit on this one, no? Also in terms of information technology function, IT function, how do we do audit? And in terms of management function, how do we do audit for the management function? So basically for the BS accountancies, yung iba dito, no, na-cover naman na ng ano nyo, ng subject nyo na Act 1204, 1205 na paulit-ulit. So 'di ba? Parang review lang ulit siya. Pero in this time, we'll be focusing on the operation side naman. Okay? So, ito first encounter actually ng BSI students. Pero again, familiar na kayo sa accounting information system. So, nadaanan na natin 'to. This time, we'll be applying the audit concepts in terms of doing audit sa mga business processes na 'to. Okay? So, for the weeks 14 and 15, yung 2 weeks, it will be purely asynchronous kasi we'll be assigning 2 quizzes, no, and 2 case studies really in relation to auditing the business processes. So yung parts 1 to 3 purely yung discussion. Ito dito na kayo gagalaw in terms of case study and taking up your departmental quiz, no, kung departmental quiz man siya. And the last portion of this course, no, it's the project management, wherein we divide it in 2, no, parts 1 and parts 2. For the part 1, it will be the definition of project, then the role of the project manager, and then we have here the project phases and the change management. And also, I think wala na. So yan, basically it's an overview of your project management. Okay? So ano yung mga terms na dapat nyo normally may encounter for project management. Kasi ngayon uso ang project management, no? Pwedeng big project like if you'll be in the real estate industry, 'di ba? Usually on a per project basis siya. So paano kung small projects lang within the company, meron din naman, 'di ba? So you should be familiar on how to do audit also in terms of project management. No, for the part 2, it will be what are the keys to success and reasons why project fails. So dapat familiar kayo with this one, no, the success and the failures of projects, no, para at least alam nyo ano yung flags or red flags kapag alam nyo may mga indicators na ang project ay medyo alanganin na magfe-fail. So at least if you have a finding over that, no, na may ganitong kayo indicators, as early as possible pwede nang makorek, no, during that phase. Okay, we also have here the project metrics and key performance indicators, no. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, no, ano yung mga key performance indicators saying that the project is most likely close to success, no, or being completed with no problems at all, mga tipong ganun. Okay, we also have here the project management applied to operations audit engagement. So in terms of operations audit, we also do engagements, no, pagdating sa project management, tulad nga ng nasabi ko kanina. And we have here the last quiz, which is your quiz number 5. Then after that week, we'll be having your final departmental examination for week 18. Okay? Then now we go to the instructional materials or resources. So most likely may presentation to our class, no. Magpe-present lang ako ng PowerPoint and I'll be discussing further yung mga concepts, no, na align doon sa ating syllabus. Okay? And we also have the resource of Canvas, no, ginagamit na natin siya, no, naka-publish na siya. Pero yung content, no, unti-untiin ko siya, no, nalalagyan na naman. And as I've said, no, mag-upload ako ng mga video na naka-hati-hati, no, para at least hindi naman overwhelming sa inyo. Kasi to tell you, purely theoretical siya. So I need to chop it na parang since we have short span attention, kailangan medyo anin ko siya, tawag dito, litan ko yung duration. Okay? And yung learning management system naman natin, since di naman tayo gagamit ng ebook dito, ha, FYI, it will be a later on i-discuss ko. Ito yun ha. We don't have any prescribed books for this subject, no, pero we have suggested readings and references. So etong listahan na to, nakatulong yan para mag-come up in the with regard to the content of the course. And as you can see, may mga topics na cover actually ng number 1, no, hindi lahat, no. That is the operational auditing or the operational auditing principles and techniques for a changing world by Hernan Murdoch, no. That is 2017 edition. So, FYI, available naman siya sa internet. Kayo nang bahala doon. Okay. So, for the number 2, it is not really required, no, pero yung content actually ng course natin naka-align dito. Okay? Operations Auditing, a Conceptual and Practical Approach by Glenn Magadia et al. 2022 edition. So, it's not required, pero if you want a complete reference that is aligned with our course, no, ito yon. No, hindi siya required. Kung gusto niyo bumili, pwede naman. If you're interested, actually, you can reach Mr. Mark Perlas by sending him a PM through Teams, no. I-send siya through courier. Okay? Naintindihan? So, again guys, mas complete yung number 2. Pero, kung okay naman sa inyo yung ibang materials na nandito naman, then nasa sa inyo na yon. Pero I highly suggest or encourage you to buy yung number 2. Again, guys, wala akong dito ha, wala akong cut, no. Ano lang siya, to tell you the course is actually the same with the PUP. Okay, so ito rin yung mga topics nila. So kung ito yung mga topics natin, then magandang libro yung number 2 to cover yung mga topics na nandito. Okay? Then you also have the Operational Auditing Handbook, Auditing Business and IT Processes by Andrew Chambers and Graham Rand, 2nd edition. Then you also have the International Professional Practices Framework or the IPPF 27 edition by the Institute of Internal Auditors or the IIA. So, actually, ito yung talagang red book or yung Bible ng IA profession. So, nandito yung mga minimum standards. So, familiar dapat tayo sa mga ganito. Particularly sa mga IA students. Yung kay BSA, pwedeng, at least you know some of the standards from the IBPF. And you have any, plans to take CIA, pwede rin naman. No? And we also have here number 5, the Internal Auditing Handbook 3rd edition by K.H. Spencer Pickett. Okay? And ito yung mga mga handouts na sa naman to, internet din naman to, no? The Internal Control Integrated Framework by COSO, also the ERM or the Enterprise Risk Management Integrated Framework by COSO, and the ISO or International Standards 31,000 2018 or also known as the Risk Management by ISO. Then we also use, no, yung mamaya yung discussion natin, no, the SEC Code of Corporate Governance, kasi yun yung magiging basehan natin kung bakit natin inaaral ang operations auditing and ano yung importance sa internal audit actually. Then also there's a reference pertaining to Title 3, Sections 22 to 34 of RA 11232 under the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. So part din siya ng corporate governance. So that is all, this list is all or are all the suggested readings and references na may connect sa ating discussion. Okay? Again, hindi record yung number 2, nasa inyo kung gusto niyo mag-order, no? Kindly message Sir Mark Anisito Perlas in Teams. Okay? So, in terms of classroom policies, hindi na to applicable, pero basically ang policy parang na-impose sa aming mga professors, kasi ako, as much as possible, I want to start really on that, no? Pero may times na maximum na yung 5 to 10 minutes. Okay? So, in terms of mode of learning, no, ang MOL, they are required to attend the synchronous session, while the independent study, they are highly encouraged to attend also. But kung mamimiss talaga, again, there is a recorded video lecture available in the Canvas course. So, again, yung mga video natin medyo chop-chop naman. So, para at least may time kayo para aralin yung mga concepts, no, kung mamimiss nyo. Okay, so again, the FE academic dishonesty, cheating is really is highly regarded as a form of academic dishonesty. So kung nag-cheat kayo, nakita namin sa analytics namin or may mga proof, no, expect that your scores will be affected and your grade will be affected. Okay? In terms of policy on absences, hindi siya applicable, and some of the information here. Okay, so yung grading, same pa rin, 50 for the midterm grade, 50 for the final grade. Okay, so that's all for the course orientation. Okay,